The film is appropriately titled Mississippi Damned. And again, Miss Thacker here plays the role, a convincing role as a very stark character named Charlie Stone. And
look at you.
and I have to tell you, to look at Miss Thacker standing here now, and the way she transforms herself in this role as Charlie Stone is nothing short of phenomenal. And as I was watching it, I was so convinced that I know that you put a lot of personal time, a lot of effort, even your physical appearance. You had to work and transform your physical appearance, and just...
I was 30 pounds heavier.
30 pounds heavier, okay? And that's probably not something that was easy for you.
Yeah, no.
I
had help, though. I had just recently had a baby, and
okay.
but I had no... I mean, I wanted to keep the weight on. It was egoless. I mean, you know, a lot of actors nowadays would worry about the weight and all that, but I was like, no, I want to eat. This is right for the character. I don't want to lose weight. I want to, you know, this is how she would be in the South back. I mean, the film takes place in 1989, and then it fast forwards to 1990. I'm not sure what the timeline is, but I just knew in the South, you know, they don't have that many skinny women. You know what I mean? It was important to me that I kept my weight on. So.
Right. Now,
it was a good excuse to just keep eating too. So.
Sure, there you go. There were certain aspects of the character Charlie Stone that was very intriguing for me.
Okay.
Because at the same time, Charlie was a very strong woman.
Yeah.
Some would say she was ornery and obstinate, but I think the core characteristic was Charlie was strong.
Yeah.
But her strength seemed to be her destruction also.
Absolutely.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean it's you know, it's unfortunate, but when you're not exposed to a lot and you're just, your resources are limited like they are for some of us who, like for myself, who were raised, you know, in the hood and, you know, wherever you come from, where you're just, you know, limited, you don't know what to do with all of that, you know, with all that strength and all that aggression. You just don't know what to do with it, you know. And so unfortunately I feel that it goes sometimes channeled in the wrong direction.
Okay.
And I think that and a lot of that strength for us, and you know, just speaking from experience, I mean, like for myself, I've had to really work on toning down my temperament.
Okay.
I know that's probably very hard for you to
raised
believe.
In Harlem, right?
Yeah, raised in Harlem. But I've had to learn to tone it down and to really get a handle on my temperament, you know, and my aggressiveness. And, but you know, you learn that when you're exposed to different things.
Okay.
But when you have limited resources, then you know you don't know, you know, you don't know how to balance that thing. You know what I mean? And so you direct it in ways that are really inappropriate.
Sure.
And you don't know what to do with all of that you got inside. You know, the anger, the, you know, not knowing the answers to some questions. You know, and sometimes some very simple questions like, you know what? Why is this happening to me? And is this okay? Well, no, it's not okay for somebody to physically touch you and touch your body when you're 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
You know, but if you grow up around a certain environment, unfortunately, it's all about the mindset. You know, and if you have limited resources, like unfortunately some of us, you know, have, then you know you're just not going to know what to do with all that you're feeling, and you know, redirect it or get some help. Find other things to help you to have a, you know, more healthier, balanced life. And so, you know, you start making the wrong choices, and you know, you start doing the wrong things, and you know, listening to you know that devil in your head that tells you that you can't, and you won't, and you'll never be, and you know,
I you know, in the film,
while she's smart, and seems very strong, she just didn't know how to use it in a good way. You know what I mean? And so it ended up really, you know.
And sometimes the circumstances just brought about this huge emotional disconnect from multiple factions, and it was all family. So in my mind, it's kind of like everybody's just one source. and then the body was just so fragmented because of collective, abuse concentrated in certain areas. And I think the collateral damage to your character,
vicious circle.
Just a vicious cycle. And I think so. In terms of when you step back from the film now, Jossie, and you look at just, let's say, the black experience as a whole, being a black woman, and knowing that this is just one story, right? How meaningful was it for you walking away from this, knowing that this is touching so many different black families across our nation?
I mean, well, for me personally, and just, talking real talk.
Right.
I mean, it's so much about giving back. It's so much about the message.
Yes.
I don't mind working on any project. I don't mind working on any particular character, as long as there's a message at the end of the day. And that's really important to me.
Okay.
And so while I thought she created all these really dysfunctional characters, and they're so dark, and you bleed for them. I mean, literally you're bleeding for them. I knew at the end of the day she was telling a story, and there was a light at the end of the rainbow, and that's important to me in the type of work that I'm involved in. You know what I mean? Because it's all about giving back. It's all about, because I feel very blessed. Like I said, I can relate to that character because I feel like I'm just really blessed that I made different choices along the way. Because there was a time in my life where I was that really angry,
really?
rebel without a cause.
Really?
And, oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Real talk. And I had to come to a place in my life where I just, I mean, God bless me. He sent certain people in my life, that kind of, this person opened my eyes a little more here. This person opened my, I started to kind of see with different eyes, and I started to kind of breathe and release and relax. And so my life started to change, but it didn't have to go that way. I could have had Charlie's story very easily, and so it's important to me to give back in that way, to say, hey, look, you can make choices. There is hope.
Yes.
And just because of your circumstances, and even with your limited resources, that you can rise above it. You just have to look around. Just take a minute to look around and see that this really is not all you have. And that you don't have to keep in those same, and you don't have to walk in your family's shoes. We all do the best that I'm a mom, so I'm a mom now, so I know that, it's all about, giving my sons the best that I can, but I don't have a lot, but I'm going to just give him the best that I can, and then it's up to him to carry that torch on to the next generation and on to the next generation. But, it's all about, just, being able to kind of, see with different eyes that there's other things and other possibilities, and I love the way that she tells this story. It's amazing.
Beautiful
it's amazing.
Beautiful job. So Jossie, what's next for you?
I have a couple of exciting things going on. I just got off the stage working with Danny Pino of Cold Case and Tony Plan of Ugly Betty on a play called Havana Bourgeois. And
excellent accent.
And it's a total opposite character, like completely different character than what I played in Mississippi Damned. But it looks like there's some really good talks. Broadway maybe, Taper. I know that they are going to be going into production to make it into a film. And also, I also completed this other film, Bopping in the Glue Factory, that's set to be released in 2010.
Jossie, I want to thank you for stopping by, taking the time out of your schedule. I have at least, while you were talking, at least 20 more questions, right? But, we'll end it here. Again, the movie is Mississippi Damned, starring Jossie Thacker as Charlie Stone. A phenomenal job. Bring lots of Kleenex, okay?
Yeah,
bring lots of Kleenex.
Please.
Don't bring anybody that you have a problem with.
Absolutely. This is no walk in the park. This is raw filmmaking.
Yes.
And it needs to be seen. So y'all get your behinds over here. Saturday, our last screening Saturday, 5:45, and pray that we can get distribution so that when people see this film, people are released and are able to really do and be more. We need that.
And everyone look for a review of this movie coming on alawrencehaskins.com. It was phenomenal. That's just how much I was impressed by it. And the acting, all the actors, the cast, a veteran cast. Not a slouch production by any means whatsoever.
Thank you.
Jossie Thacker, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.